Well, the fat's been rendering for about 2 hours now, and you can see it still has a ways to go. There's lots of solid pieces in there, but the pan is definitely full of liquid fat. So we're gonna strain this off into a glass container and then put it back on the stove. So we thought we'd show you that process, and I'm gonna hold the strainer and attempt to film at the same time. So see how this goes. So we're just pouring this into a strainer with cheesecloth, which is working, kind of. And just putting this into a glass container. And this is another way to we're also purifying this by filtering it through the cheesecloth. And then we're going to let it sit in here and get hard, and we'll be able to purify it even further by letting any of the other pieces fall down. But this stuff is actually looking very good. It's very clear. So you can see still lots of pieces of fat in there. And so we're going to put that back on the stove and render it down even further. If you look in here, you can see that the cheesecloth did a good job of straining out little bits of miscellaneous stuff. And look down here, and we're looking like some pretty clear stuff. You can see the tabletop right through it. And any other impurities that are in there are going to sink to the bottom. And we'll put the stuff back on the stove and keep rendering away. Okay, so here we are with our rendered fat, and just want to give you a view of what this looks like when it's done rendering. And all these hard pieces you see in here are called cracklins, and if you can hear that, they're quite hard. And so you can just, tell that all that soft fat is melted off. It's now liquid, and we're going to give this a final straining over at the counter. Okay, so we're just going to give this a straining off. We have our strainer lined with cheesecloth, and just pour that through. Get less of my husband's arm, more of the picture. So this in all took us about, I don't know, would you say about 7 hours to render all this, which is kind of a long time. Normally it takes, I think, about 2 to 3 hours to get it all rendered down. Again, the big thing is that you want to have it on low heat and stir it really frequently, and you never want it to smoke, because it's more about melting the fat and not about cooking the fat. So that's the stuff that the last bit of it that we're rendering off, and then this is the stuff that we showed you the other day that we poured. And you can see it's creamy and great color to it. It's in a glass pan here. And if I turn it over on the other side, see if you can see. Yeah, you can't really see. There's just the tiniest bit of impurities in there. So we're going to be scraping that off and leaving some of that behind, but all in all it rendered it down quite well. And that's about it for rendering fat. I almost forgot, I promised to show you all some fat lamps, and these are some fat lamps that we made with Karen and Frank Sherwood at Earthwalk Northwest, and they're carved out of soapstone. And so how these basically work is we have a bowl here for the fat, and the rendered fat goes in there, and then wicks are placed in there, and you just burn those like a normal candle. And this one here you can see is empty, so it's just this bowl here, and you fill that up with fat, and there you have a fat lamp. And fat was used in Alaska and other places where the blubber was really prevalent. So, and there it is, nice little candle. And also wanted to share a few words with you about storage. Your rendered fat should be stored in a glass container once it's all clean and kept away from the light. And it's a very stable fat. You can use it for high heat cooking, and it will store for quite a few years, and you'll know when it's bad because the way it'll smell rancid. So, and of course you can also make salves with rendered fat, and if you look at Kiva Rose's column. Just the other day she posted a recipe for how to make salves using rendered fat. So there you go. Happy rendering.